Horses. Creatures we think we know inside out. But the deeper you look, the more untold stories you uncover. In Australia, they're not just farm companions. They've marched as war horses, roamed wild as symbols of freedom, and even returned from the brink when a tiny breed once thought lost made a comeback. In this video, we'll explore 5 remarkable Australian horse breeds, including one recently rediscovered. And trust me, the last one is the real twist. Number 1. Australian Stock Horse. Across the vast grasslands of Queensland and New South Wales, where cattle herds stretch all the way to the horizon, one breed has become an icon: the Australian Stock Horse. Standing 14 to 16 hands, 56 to 64 inches, and weighing around 880 to 1,100 pounds. It isn't as massive as the heavy draft horses of Europe, nor as slim and delicate as the thoroughbred. Instead, it strikes the perfect balance: strength, stamina, and agility in one. And this is the really interesting part. The stock horse was born from a mix of thoroughbred, Arabian, and the very first horses brought by settlers to Australia in the late 18th century. Out of that blend came what many call the off-road sport utility vehicle of the horse world. Tough enough to chase cattle across rugged terrain, yet gentle enough for children to ride safely. Today, with over 190,000 officially registered, it's the most popular horse breed in Australia. Beyond cattle work, stock horses shine in rodeos, polo, and even international eventing, proving just how versatile they really are. But here's the twist. Behind its image as the Outback's workhorse machine, the Australian stock horse often dazzles under the spotlight of competitive arenas. A fascinating paradox: a farmer's companion by day, and a world-class athlete by night. And if the stock horse is the all-terrain sport utility vehicle of the grasslands, the next breed is more like a battle tank, born to cross deserts and carve its name into history. Number 2. Waler horse. If the stock horse is Australia's all-terrain sport utility vehicle, then the next breed is nothing less than the country's battle tank, the Waler. Standing 15 to 16.2 hands, 60 to 66 inches, and weighing 1,000 to 1,300 pounds, this horse was built for endurance. According to the Australian War Memorial, Walers could march up to 100 kilometers a day, even under the brutal conditions of the desert. During World War I, more than 160,000 Walers were shipped to the Middle East and India. They carried Australian soldiers through Gallipoli, Palestine, and Egypt, becoming the silent warriors of the battlefield. And here's the heartbreaking part. Almost none of them ever came home. Because of the quarantine laws at the time, soldiers had to leave their horses behind. Some accounts recall men in tears, forced to say goodbye to the loyal companions who had carried them through war. Today, only a few small herds survive in New South Wales and Victoria, preserved as living reminders of that heroic yet tragic past. If the stock horse represents the present, then the Waler is a chapter of memory. Proud, powerful, but forever marked by loss. And after a warhorse forever tied to the battlefield, the next breed couldn't be more different. Not in the barracks, not on the farm, but roaming wild across the mountains. Number 3. Brumby. From the warhorse of the battlefield, we now shift to a completely different picture. Wild herds running free across the snowy mountains and the Northern Territory. This is the Brumby, the most famous wild horse in Australia. Brumbies typically stand 12 to 14 hands high, 48 to 56 inches, and weigh between 600 and 900 pounds. Smaller than the stock horse or the Waler, yet incredibly tough. They survive harsh climates and poor grazing conditions. And it's this resilience that has allowed them to spread across the country. Today, their numbers are estimated at 300,000 to 400,000, making them one of the largest wild horse populations in the world. For many Australians, the Brumby is a symbol of freedom and the untamed spirit of the land. But for conservationists, they're seen as an invasive species, destroying vegetation and threatening native wildlife. The story is always controversial. On one hand, Brumbies were celebrated in the famous 1890 poem, The Man from Snowy River, forever tying them to Australia's bush legend. On the other hand, outlets like ABC News have repeatedly reported on culling programs, from roundups to aerial shooting, that have deeply divided public opinion. Loved as a national icon, yet hated as a pest of the wild. That paradox makes the Brumby the most hotly debated horse in Australia. And after following the Brumby through the wild mountain ranges, we'll meet a breed far smaller in size, but carrying in its veins the blood of legendary war horses. Number 4. Australian Pony. After the rugged image of the Brumby, we turn to a smaller but no less surprising breed, the Australian Pony. Standing 11 to 14 hands, 44 to 56 inches, and weighing 550 to 770 pounds. It's compact, elegant, and perfectly suited for children. This breed traces its roots back to the 19th century, when settlers crossed Welsh ponies and other British breeds with Arabians and thoroughbreds. The result was a pony both beautiful and durable, carrying the bloodlines of some of the world's most renowned war horses. And this is the really interesting part. Despite their small size, Australian ponies are tough enough for competitions and even long-distance riding. Today, more than 20,000 are officially registered, with strong populations in New South Wales and Victoria, especially in local pony clubs. For many Australians, the Australian pony is tied to childhood memories. The first rides, the first small shows, the beginnings of a lifelong love of horses. Here's the fascinating paradox. Tiny yet powerful, cute yet carrying the spirit of the Arabian and the thoroughbred. That contrast makes the Australian pony one of the country's most beloved breeds. And if the pony represents the innocence of childhood, then the final breed delivers something far more dramatic. Once thought to have vanished, only to be rediscovered along Australia's windswept southern coast. Number 5. Coffin Bay Pony. Our final stop takes us to Coffin Bay, South Australia, where small, sturdy herds run wild along windswept beaches. This is the Coffin Bay Pony, a breed once thought to have vanished. They stand 12 to 14 hands, 48 to 56 inches, and weigh 600 to 770 pounds, with a sleek build, thick mane, and solid frame. Their story begins in the early 19th century, when Timor ponies were brought from Indonesia to Australia, then crossed with Welsh ponies and thoroughbreds. The result was a hardy coastal breed, perfectly adapted to rugged seaside conditions. By the mid-20th century, habitat loss pushed the Coffin Bay pony to the brink of extinction. But the local community stepped in, forming the Coffin Bay Pony Society to preserve them. Today, their numbers hover around just 200 individuals, making them one of Australia's rarest horse breeds. But here's the twist. From nearly disappearing, they've returned as a symbol of conservation and ecotourism, drawing visitors and embodying the wild spirit of the southern coast. And when we look back, from the powerful stock horse, the heroic Waler, the untamed Brumby, the charming Australian pony, to the reborn Coffin Bay pony, these 5 breeds together tell a story of evolution, survival, and the very spirit of Australia itself. The question is, if you could choose one of these 5 to ride alongside you, which would it be?